All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Castle Nathria. Are you guys ready for the most intriguing deck that you'll probably see in the lead up to Castle Nathria? So, I read an article by what was it, Old Guardian, recently, and he had mentioned that, and I'm paraphrasing here, but that control decks didn't get a lot, but that got me thinking that maybe we're undervaluing certain cards that are coming from this expansion. So in particular for me, I looked at the light it burns, and to me this looks like a very efficient removal card, enough to maybe even carry a budget control deck. So we have this. We have the light it burns, and then we also have the Cathedral of Atonement. Just being able to draw a card, buff a creature, very good. And it's hard for the opponent to interact with because it's the location. Then we also have tradable Restaurant Viper for weapon decks. We could probably even fit in another one of these, but we got Zola for additional value, Drown for more efficient removal, etc. Elise Starseeker. If the game goes really long, we can transform our removal into big legendaries potentially, with the Golden Monkey. We also got Sin Runner, just a very efficient Death Rattle minion, which we do have quite a few Death Rattle minions with Amulet of Undying. That's one of our many win conditions here. Um, so yeah, just being able to summon a full Death Rattle board, that's going to be problematic for your opponent, including Sin Runners, Talon Fordring, Masked Revelers, and and yeah, just other Death Rattle cards. A Stoneborn General is probably like a huge part of that win condition. Like if you play this and it dies, and then you bring back like one of them as part of your 3 mana play, that is insane. You are paying 3 mana for 10 mana worth of card, and that's just if you resurrect one of these guys, um, and has nothing to do with anything else you're resurrecting. So Amulet of Undying really looks insane for a win condition. We don't have like a whole ton of death rattles, but we have enough where I think it matters. And I mean, I've been playing a deck similar to this where we don't have any of the new cards, obviously, but I put in like the best replacements that I could find, and it's been putting in work. So like for example, instead of the light it burns, I put in the diving pelican, whatever that card is. Here, let's see if we can find it actually. It was, hold up, you probably hear me clicking. Right here. So this is not a good card, Pelican Diver, but it did illustrate to me how insane a 1 mana removal card can be. Just being able to, well, in the Pelicans case, you proactively just play it and hope your opponent plays into it, kind of. Or if they already did play into it, then they gotta figure out how to protect their valuable unit, like with Taunt or something. Um, so I mean, with the Pelican, you're kind of playing proactively, but so we didn't really want that in the control deck now. But that just illustrated to me how good the light it burns actually probably will be. Um, let's see, Holy Smite, just efficient single target removal. This is mainly for aggro decks. It will help us kill some bigger creatures in mid range and control sometimes, but it's mainly for aggro. Where, like, say for example, they play a Flame in Bond 1, and it's just something that we can easily take out. Or just any of these efficient aggro creatures that we can kind of just get out of the way for 1 mana is huge. Shard of the Naru. This is like an AoE silence, so that becomes very useful for for buffed boards, or even the mirror match where there's going to be giant death rattle boards. So yeah, Shard of the Naru ends up being the MVP in those matchups as well. Suspicious Usher, I feel like will be a nice way to get some value. And I mean, if they're control, I think we have more removal than them. If they're playing aggro, they might not care about value legendaries like we're going to try to be grabbing. So I really feel like the drawback of giving your opponent a legendary isn't as bad in this deck because we have Drown, we have Delight, it burns, we have Holy Smite, etc., etc. We even have Light Bomb if things really get out of control. So yeah, I don't think the downside for giving your opponent a legendary is really enough to not run this card. Um, we do have Shadow Word Death as well, just in case. I mean, I figure um, that way you can have some redundancy in your removal. Um, so that way, if you see something that you can death, but not necessarily something that would be ideal for drown, for example, you can go ahead and use one of your deaths instead because you have that redundancy and you have the ability to wait for something that's truly worth drowning and putting into your deck for later. So that's my thought process behind having a Shadow Word Death. It is also what is it? Something not something I can like discover for really. Um, we did actually have some discover cards in this before, but Shadow Word Death will still be fine just if we draw it usually. There's going to be a lot of stats in some of these matchups, and Shadow Word Death has just been really good for me. Um, let's see. Again, the Cathedral, just hard to interact with. I'm trying to think if we didn't cover anything. Oh, yeah, that's right. So, Alexstrasza the Lifebinder. This is mainly for either ending the game, late game, if you're getting down to 8 health, roughly. This is also for, it can just kill something on their board, and then you have an 8/8 on your side now. It can also just straight up heal you for 8 in the aggro matchup, which healing for 8 can be massive and can literally game changing against aggro in certain scenarios. Then we got Ysera the Dreamer. Now this card would be awkward if you were holding a bunch of high cost cards, but because um, above 6 mana we only have 4 cards, our hand's not stuffed constantly. You know what I mean? We end up having a lot more freedom to go ahead and get these dream cards from Ysera, because our hand isn't like always maxed out. You know what I mean? Usually, that for me historically has been a problem with Ysera, where like you want to get the full hand of dream cards, but you already have a full hand, so you get like maybe one or two, and then that's really when Ysera like kind of becomes useless or at least not as impactful. So yeah, so it turns out that Ysera is is really good in this deck because there's not a whole lot of late game bombs that you're holding on to. Um, and that's what you get for being able to run Amulet of Undying as your win condition, because that's just a 3 mana card. You can drop it, um, like much easier than say like this 10 mana card later on. But but yeah, just in general, and I mean, Masked Reveler. Let's talk about this, and then that'll wrap up the video. But Masked Reveler, this is a really good card. 6 mana, 4/4 rush. When it dies, you summon a 2/2 copy of another minion in your deck. So that could be a Masked Reveler. That could be Stoneborn General, which would be insane. That could be a Sin Runner, which again is also insane. Could be a Talon, which is also insane. Just there's so many things that are just insane if you get them off the Masked Reveler. I mean, let's count. So we got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards that would be insane to grab off of Masked Reveler. So that is like a fifth. No, sorry. Like, what is that? Like 20% of your deck that just makes Masked Reveler insane. And I mean, in other scenarios, it's still a pretty good value card, honestly. Um, just being able to play it, take out something, and then you still have something on the board is huge. Um, so yeah, so I think Masked Reveler definitely deserves its spot where it's at. Um, and then, yeah, so this is my take on a budget control deck. We did have to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 legendaries from the core set, but they are all free because it's a core set. And then we did have to use 1 epic from the core set as well. Light Bomb, which I mean, they're giving these cards for free, so it really makes it hard to not use them in budget decks because they're so powerful, and they're just sitting there in the core set, and I feel like we should use them. So Late Balm ends up being pretty good, and then the rest is just commons and rares. Most of the rares are from the new set. In fact, there's only 6 rare cards in this deck. So honestly, this is a really cheap deck. Between the free cards, the minimum amount of rares, like, it's really a cheap deck. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I can't wait to see what you all think of the budget control deck. I think it's going to do fantastic on the new ladder, and I personally can't wait to try it out. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my further budget videos, or I also have a free-to-play going up for the month of August, just to see how far we can get with the new Nathria cards and being free-to-play. So yeah, thank you so much, and I will see you in those videos, hopefully.